Hello and welcome to another vlog. I know it's been 6 or 7 months since I last uploaded a video. In fact, even longer since I uploaded a vlog. I was actually looking back only yesterday at the last 2 or 3 videos that I put on YouTube, and I just wanted to refresh my memory about what it was I last spoke to you guys about. And the last vlog was actually a very belated Chinese New Year edition, and we've only just had Chinese New Year again, only last week. So it's amazing how time flies. And I suppose I should start with just a couple of apologies. First, I'd like to quickly talk about the last video that I uploaded, or at least I want to apologise for what happened after that video. You see, that was the one relating to what is it that you're going to do with the money that you've saved up, if you've saved money up. What are you going to spend it on when it comes to the next generation of gaming? What, that sort of November, December period. I wanted to know how you're going to spend your cash, and I talked a little bit about how I would spend mine. But what happened after that video is that I left China and went back to the UK for a holiday. In fact, that video, I think only about an hour before I left to go and get my plane, had finished uploading on YouTube. And it was my intention to go back to the UK and spend at least one day just watching YouTube videos, responding to the comments on my video, and just catching up with you guys. Unfortunately, that did not happen. I'm sure those of you who don't live in your original home countries know that when you go back, you want to see all of your friends, and that was the case this time for me. I wanted to catch up with as many of my friends as I could, and that meant travelling around the UK, going to different towns and cities and spending a night or 2 nights with various friends. What that didn't leave me with was a lot of time to just sit and look at YouTube videos. And then when I got back to China, for at least the first month, the internet connection speed was pretty awful. I was struggling to get connected to my VPN, which means I couldn't get onto YouTube. I kind of forgot that I'd uploaded a video, and then came back to it a couple of months later and thought to myself, is it worth responding to the comments now? Everybody who's commented has probably forgotten that they've commented, got annoyed with the fact that I didn't comment because I don't have a good excuse for not commenting on people's videos. I've got such a small audience and a relatively small number of people who leave comments that I should have responded to all of them. So to you guys, I am very, very sorry. I will try my best never to do that again. But quickly talking about the number of people, I was quite surprised to see my number of subscribers, because I don't often go onto my channel page, and the other day I noticed that I've got more than 330 of them, which did come as a bit of a surprise, because normally I get about between 100 and 150 views for most of my videos. And I know subscribers and viewer figure numbers don't always tally up directly. But I suppose going from 160 or so, which I kind of assumed the audience was, or at least the subscriber count was maybe a little bit more than that, seeing 330 odd was a bit of a surprise. I mean, I know with viewer figures, the actual number of people that really watch is bound to be a lot less, because if you just click on a video and watch it for 10 seconds and then close it, that still counts as a view. At least I think it does. So I would imagine 150 views, there's probably, equating to the number of likes and the number of people that comment, there's probably about maybe 50 people that really watch the videos. So to you guys who regularly comment, I'm really sorry again for not responding to those comments. But I'd also like to say sorry to anyone who has subscribed within the last 7 or 8 months, because there just hasn't been any new content. I mean, I know there are people who subscribe because they want you to subscribe to them, or just subscribe because they like subscribing to everything. But then there are those people who, like myself, only subscribe when they want to see more content. For me, when I subscribe to someone's channel, it's generally because it's kind of like voting. I'm saying, yes, I would like to see more of your content. So to you guys who have subscribed recently, I really apologise that there's been no new content, but there will be some more very soon. I've got another video that I've produced, and actually you can see it by clicking on this link here. I haven't released it into your feed yet, it's unlisted at the moment, but by clicking on this here or clicking on the link in the description, you can go straight to it. I'll release it into your feeds a couple of days from now. I don't want to bombard you with two new videos on the same day, but if you really want to see it, you can click up here. It's a video about my 7 favourite games that I played in the year of the snake, the Chinese year we've just had. I started at the beginning of that year making a list, writing down all of the games that I was playing, making a brief comment about what I thought about it, and then I planned to pick my 5 favourites and make a video about it. But there were so many games that I liked that I struggled to even get it down to 7. In fact, there are some that I missed off the list that I could quite easily have put in the list. It was such a difficult choice to make 7 of them. I haven't played a great deal of games. I mean, I spent a lot of time gaming, but I haven't played a great deal of titles. But of the ones that I have played, I seem to have played some ones that I've really, really enjoyed. So hopefully you'll find that video of interest. And there will be more videos coming soon as well. I plan to make some more vlogs in the next few months, and also a few more of the Hafool videos, the How Far on One Life, because I do like making those, and I don't really know why I stopped making them, because they're quite easy and quite good fun to make. As for going further and making other videos, there is a very good chance that I will be starting the Gamers Living Room videos again, which I find quite exciting because they are definitely the most time-consuming and challenging of the videos that I make, but they are the most rewarding and fun at the end of the day. And it's constantly annoyed me that I never got further with that series. And although episode number 7, I have now filmed completely and edited twice and got to the end of the process both times and just decided, no, I don't like it, deleted the whole thing. And episode 9 as well, I've definitely filmed that once and since deleted it, or deleted most of the content. I might have filmed that a second time as well, but it just got so frustrating that I wanted to make the videos better and better every time I made a new one. But looking back on them now, I think some of the earlier ones are better than the later ones. So I don't know exactly where I'm going to go with that, but I know that when I start making them again, I'll just make it once and then I'll say that'll have to do. I'll try and make the next one better if I'm not happy with it, because I've got probably another 20 videos planned for that series, one for every machine I've got taking it up to the current day. I probably won't do one for any of the current generation consoles just yet, because I need to obviously play them for a long time to decide what my favourite game on them is. But anything that's reached the end of its lifespan or near enough, I will be including in that Gamers Living Room series. So that's plans as far as as far as YouTube videos go. But I've also made a couple of resolutions. I know it's not New Year, but it's Chinese New Year, and I've left because I'm in China, I've left my resolutions a little bit later. And I've got sort of gaming resolutions, as in things that I'd like to buy, and then I've got another resolution that isn't connected to gaming. So, well, let me first talk about the gaming ones, because one of the things I've wanted to do for a long time now is, I don't want to use the word collection because that's not I don't consider myself a collector. I have games and I have systems, but I'm more of a gamer. I like to play the games. But I do want to get some more games to play on my PC Engine. I've had that machine for 3 years now, maybe more, and I've only got one game for it, and that's a game I bought before I even got the system, Space Harrier. And the machine has seen a lot of appreciation. It's sat on the shelf, it's looked good, but it hasn't really been played, and I want to start collecting some of the games that I used to drool over as a kid, that I used to see in magazines, or occasionally when one of my local game shops had an imported PC Engine in, I'd see there are some games that I'd see playing on the TV in the shop. So there's a handful of games that I would like to get for the system, and so that's one of the things I'd like to do this year, to at least add a few games to my stack. Well, my stack of one game, increase my PC Engine collection. And another thing that I'd like to do is similar to the PC Engine, where the games are on Hue cards. I love the cards on the Sega Master System. So I'd like to build a complete collection of all of the games that were released in the UK on the card system. And they're fairly pricey. Well, I say they're not. They're not astronomically expensive, but I would be looking at spending probably £15 to £20 minimum for a boxed complete game. But there's something about those games that I find sort of magical. There's something nostalgic from my childhood. I only had Hang On, and one of my friends had a couple of the other ones. He had, Teddy Boy, I think, and Ghost House. And I really like the game Bank Panic. In fact, it's one of my favourite. It's such a simple game, but it's one of my favourite Master System games. So I would love to. I've got it on a cartridge, but an unboxed version of it. So I'd like to have the card version of that boxed and complete. And I think there's probably 10 games, maybe less, that came out on these cards. So I want to have all of those. Maybe I don't expect to have got that collection complete by the end of this year. But I'd at least like to start it, because the only one I've got at the moment is Hang On, and it's not boxed, it's just the one that came with the system. But going further than that, and keeping on the Sega Master System theme, I would like to have all of the early Master System games that were released in the UK. All of the ones that have the really poor box art. So I've already got some of them, things like Space Harrier and Secret Command, but I'd like to have all of the others that have got that very minimalist, basic artwork on them. There's something nostalgic and almost magical about those that I would love to have. I just like looking at the boxes because they look pretty rubbish. And even when I was a kid, I remember looking at them thinking, this is rubbish, compared to see some of the great box art on some of the Spectrum games, the Commodore games, Amiga games, and then you'd see these expensive, overpriced cartridges on the Sega Master System, but I liked them. It was unique. There was something that you didn't see on other game systems, and because there was a sort of uniformity to them, the way they were all on the same white case or white sleeve with the grey lines on them, the grid pattern, they look good on the shelf and they look good displayed. So I'm not, as I said, not much of a collector, but there's the things that I'd like to collect. So that's really it for resolutions and goals going forward, as far as the gaming side goes. But there is one other thing that I'd really like to do, and that is, and this was in some way inspired by JurassicJunkie. If you don't know who he is, definitely check out his channel. His Friday rant sort of talky video is very good. I would love to do what he has done, and that is to get healthy. Because I'm very aware as I'm kind of getting close to 40 years of age, I was turned 38 last year, that I've got to maintain or increase the level of health and fitness that I've got at the moment, because like most of you, I'm a gamer. I spend most of my recreational time sat on a couch playing video games or sat at a desk playing games on the Mac or PC, and I don't get enough exercise and activity beyond that, or nowhere near as much as I should do or as much as I need. And as a consequence, I'm not feeling as alive as I should do. And that is the key. I don't want to go on an exercise regime for sort of vanity's sake. I'm not hideously out of shape. Sure, my wife would probably prefer it if my stomach was a bit firmer and rippled like some Adonis. But I don't really care about having a six-pack or bulging biceps. I just want to feel great. If my body starts to look better as a sort of bonus side effect to that, then that's fine. But my primary focus is feeling good. And what JurassicJunkie had done is he started a 5-day not just fruit and vegetable juice detox. I mean, it might seem a little bit extreme to only have sort of 5 or 6 glasses of fruit and vegetable juice a day for 5 days. And he said the first 3 days were pretty horrible. But by the 4th and 5th day, he started to feel great. And one of the things he mentioned that really struck a chord with me is that he said when he used to get out of bed, he'd feel kind of sluggish and it'd take him a while to warm up, like booting up an old PC. It kind of takes a while to chug into life. And I'm the same. Those first few minutes waking up in the morning, I was like, kind of got to stretch out and just to feel good about myself. It takes a while to warm up. But he said once he'd started this juice detox, he was feeling alert and alive straight away in the morning. And then he was feeling a lot more active and creative throughout the day. So I want some of that. So I went to my local electronics store and I had a look for the juicer that he showed in his video. I'll put a link to the video in the description pane if you're interested in seeing it. But anyway, he had a Philips juicer. Nice big machine. It almost looked kind of industrial in scale, and you can just bung any fruit or vegetables into the top and it will mash it up and separate matter from juice, and you're just left with this nice glass of pure juice. And I thought to myself, I'll go and get me one of those, until I saw the price. And I don't know how much they retail for in the UK, but here in China, that particular model goes for about £200. And I thought, I've just spent about £500 in the UK. I don't have another couple of hundred just yet. And then what if I want to then ship it back to the UK later? That's going to cost me even more money when I eventually come to leave. So I think the pure juice diet, I'm going to leave that until I go back to the UK for good. But I'm going to try and eat a much healthier lifestyle. Give up some or most of the alcohol that I consume. Cut back on the little treats that I like once a week, like Burger King, and not give in to my taste buds quite so much. And hopefully that, coupled with moderate exercise, I want to feel a bit stronger, so I'm going to start doing a little bit of weight training. I've got some in the spare room. I've got some free weights and some frame for doing pull-ups and dips and all that sort of stuff. So I'm going to try and do a bit of that. And I actually have started, and I have noticed an improvement in my strength. Not dramatic, but from not being able to do a wide grip pull-up to actually being able to do sort of 4 or 5 of them is quite an achievement as far as I'm concerned. I mean, I'm not going to be winning any strength contests, but it's a noticeable improvement. So hopefully, as I get healthier and I exercise more, then I'll see more and more of those improvements. I'd saved up £500 and I spent it while I was in the UK, and this is what I bought. So yes, a PlayStation 4. I gave in to my urge, that money burning a hole in my pocket, and I ended up buying Sony's latest console. So you may be thinking, well, why that one and not the Xbox One? Now, I had spoke in my previous video saying how the issues regarding DRM and the console always being on and all this backpedaling Microsoft were doing didn't give me a lot of confidence in the company. But since then, we've all found out that Sony were planning to do the same thing anyway. They just backpedaled on the idea before actually announcing it, and Microsoft took all the flack and they ended up looking like the bad guys. A great PR win for Sony, but just goes to show that both companies are as nice or as evil as each other. They're corporations. They only really care about the bottom line. They've got an investment to protect. They've got shareholders that they're accountable to. So they're going to do whatever they can to maximize profit. And the difference between the two consoles is almost negligible now, that you have to pay for PlayStation Plus if you want to go use the multiplayer functions on the PlayStation 4. So really it came down to one thing for me. And the one thing you might think it is the catalogue of games, but it wasn't even that, because looking at what's available on both systems, a lot of it's the same, but the current crop of exclusives for the Xbox One probably interest me more than the ones that are on the PlayStation 4. Not sure, I haven't played Infamous Second Son yet. That looks interesting, and of course there are more things coming in the future, but the main reason for me picking up a PlayStation 4 now, and I'm almost 100% positive I will get an Xbox One at some point in the future, the reason for getting it now is that it's compatible with games from other regions. I can buy a game here that comes from Hong Kong and I can use it on my PlayStation 4 without too much of a worry. There are some issues over your PSN account and some of the DLC not working, but you know, I'm not too worried about that. I'll be able to play the games. So that's a good thing. And with the Xbox One, I wouldn't have been able to do that. So really, that's what it came down to. But my decision to buy a machine was really an impulse on the day. Before going back, I'd planned to get something, but then I'd sort of talked myself out of it, saying, well, I don't really need to get it now. Seems like a bit of a waste of money, because there aren't any must-have titles that I really need to play that I can't get on my PS3. The majority of the games that are available for both systems are available on the previous generation. So yeah, it does seem like a bit of a silly purchase in that respect. And also, by the end of the first day of owning the machine, if I could have gone back and told the me who was there planning to purchase it in the morning, if I could have said to myself, no, don't buy it, just leave it, let it go for another 6 months, I would have. Because I bought it from Game, and that was the only place that had stock that I could find. And I was in there the day before, just buying some second-hand games for the Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3. They actually, for once, had a really good sale in there. They had a 4 for 20 sale, and a lot of the titles were, they're a couple of years old, but they're good things that I wanted to play. So I picked up Infamous, the first one, because I wanted to play that for a long time. I got Dead Island. I remember Interghost mentioning that one and saying I should play that, so I picked that up for the Xbox 360. What else did I get? God of War 3. I've been playing through God of War and God of War 2 on the PlayStation 3 collection and really coming to appreciate how good those games actually are. So I know that at some point in the near future I'll want to play God of War 3, so I picked that up. And I also got Vanquish on the PlayStation 3 because I've heard that's a surprisingly good game. It didn't sell very well, but it's a very cool shooter. So I got those, and I was that day I was looking at the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One, considering which one I was going to purchase, and I decided, oh, maybe I'll leave it. But then getting home and thinking about it some more, I decided, no, I'm going to buy a PlayStation 4. I went in the next morning and just went straight there, bought it, took it home, took it out of the box, and was surprised by how good the machine actually is. The build quality is very good. The design seems to get better the more I look at it. I like it more and more. In fact, I'd say second only to the slim PlayStation, the PS1, that's my favourite PlayStation design. It's very, very cool. And the controller is so good that I actually went out and bought one before I even got a PlayStation 4. As soon as I found out that this thing was Mac and PC compatible, as soon as I could get my hands on one, which actually was about the middle of December by the time the machine had come out in Hong Kong and they'd got them here, I went straight down to the local computer market and purchased this. In fact, this was the only one that one stall had a PlayStation 4 in stock and they had one spare controller. So I bought it. Fantastic controller, not as PC and Mac compatible as I hoped it would be. It's a bit hit and miss. Some games it works perfectly on, others not at all. So when driver support comes for this thing, it will become my main Mac and PC controller. I think I like it a little bit more than the Xbox 360 controller, which I love. So that'll tell you how much I like the PlayStation 4 controller. So great controller, great machine as in build quality and design. And I was very surprised to find that the operating system, after using it, well, at first when I started using it, I was thinking, I prefer the cross-media bar on the PlayStation 3. But after a few days of using it, I've really come to appreciate how they've enhanced the operating system and all of its functions. And I really like it. So the system itself is great. But as with any system, it's the games that are the important thing. And that's what so far let it down for me. I initially planned to pick up 3 games with it. I had a bit of a think about the types of titles I wanted to play. I love Battlefield 3 I loved it on the Xbox 360, but then I got rid of my Xbox Live account, and so I couldn't can play the single player mode, which is not very good. I mean, Battlefield is a multiplayer game. Let's not make any mistakes about that. So obviously, straight away on my list was Battlefield 4. But there have been so many issues with Battlefield 4's launch, and taking into account how bad it is to connect to any foreign servers over here, I thought, I'll just wait. I'll get Battlefield 4 in the summer. So I picked up Call of Duty Ghosts because I thought at least Call of Duty has a pretty good single player. So far, all of the ones I've played, I've enjoyed them. They might not have been great, all of them, but I've enjoyed playing the single player campaigns and then playing some of the other modes that you can play offline. I've enjoyed. And so I bought the machine with Ghosts, Call of Duty Ghosts. And yeah, it's Call of Duty. It's, as far as I can tell, I haven't played it extensively, but it seems like a good game. And there are plenty of features. I can play all of the maps with bots offline. And for me, on the hardened level, they're challenging enough to the point where I don't win any, or I rarely win any of the matches against them when playing on free-for-all. So it's pitched about the right level for me. having the bots on hardened. And so I'm getting, I'm enjoying it. I'm getting fun out of it. It's not an amazing game, but what kind of annoyed me is not that it's not that it's really a bad thing, but I've got a PlayStation 3. This game didn't feel next generation enough. It just, obviously there's a good reason for that, because they're making it to run on multiple systems, so they're not taking full advantage of what the machine can do. But it was and is a bit of a disappointment in that sense for me personally, because I could have just got the PlayStation 3 version. So, and I kind of wish I had done, because it would have been a bit cheaper. But anyway, actually no, it wouldn't have been, saying that, because I got it with the system. I got it for £40, so it probably would have cost me about the same to get the PlayStation 3 version. Anyway, I then picked up, as part of the deal, Need for Speed Rivals. Now, this is a game that I was interested in. I'd heard a couple of good things about it. I've never played any of the Need for Speed games before, but I was reading Julian Rignall's blog on, what's it called, usgamer.net. He's just taken over as the site has just started up, and he's the editor of that. And he was saying that was, of the launch titles, that was his favourite. And then I realised, well, I love Burnout, and it's kind of by the same people. It's an EA game. It's a similar sort of game. Burnout Paradise is awesome. Probably, definitely my favourite driving game. So I thought, well, I'll try this. And yeah, it is very good. It's got real cars in it, whereas Burnout doesn't. But I don't know, some of the charm is lost. Maybe there's something about the game. I can't quite put my finger on what it is, but it's not as much fun to play. It's good, but I don't love it. And again, I could see it being very similar on the PlayStation 3. So got another title that I didn't really need. And I was planning to get NBA 2K14 at the same time as well, because I haven't bought a basketball game for many years, and I do like them. I used to be massively into basketball at one point, probably 10 years ago, and I still like to pick up a basketball title every now and again and play them. But when I got to the till, they didn't have any money off, and it was £55 or £60, some crazy price. So I just said, no, I'll leave that, and I'll pick it up at some later date. I'm pretty sure I can buy it here for less than £40 by one imported from Hong Kong. So I'll probably do that pretty soon, or once I'm bored with the other games that I've got. But there is one saving grace, one shining light here, that comes in the form of an indie title on the system that is available free on PlayStation Plus. Now, I didn't take out a PlayStation Plus subscription, even though, for me it would represent very good value for money, being I've got a PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4 and a PS Vita. The instant game collection, when you've got all three of those systems, is amazing value for money. We pay £40 and there's new games being added to this collection all the time. I believe they do take some of the older ones away, but you've got plenty of stuff to play, new titles to play every month. So you could just buy the system and just get that PlayStation Plus and still have a lot of fun with it. But they do give you a 14-day free trial, and so I decided to opt for that, and for free I got the game Resogun. Or at least I've got it for free until my 14-day subscription runs out. And that is an amazing game. In fact, as soon as my 14-day subscription runs out, I'm going to pay the £12.50 to buy that game. And that will be probably the most I've ever paid for a digital download, but I don't care. It is a spectacular shooter. It's if you haven't seen it or haven't played it, I would definitely recommend checking out some gameplays online. But it's kind of like Defender in that you shoot things and you rescue humans, and that the level rotates all the way around, but it's actually circular. You can see the cityscape as you roll around it. And it's like a mixture of Defender and a bullet hell shooter. I mean, it's not as hectic as the most hectic of bullet hells, but it's challenging enough. And it's like a twin stick shooter. You move with the left stick, and you move the right stick left or right to shoot backwards or forwards, and then you've got a boost button which shields you, and then you tear along the screen and you destroy anything that gets in your way as you boost. It's got an overdrive button, which is a huge power weapon that you have to charge up by shooting the enemies, and they release little green pixels that you collect, and they charge up your overdrive meter. And then you also have smart bombs as well. And it's just a glorious game. I don't know whether it's pushing the PlayStation 4 to its limits, and I don't know whether something similar couldn't have been created on the PlayStation 3, but it's a gorgeous game. It's sort of fireworks and explosions and things blowing up all over the place, but it plays beautifully. The controls are really sweet, and when you die in that game, it feels like you die because you didn't plan far enough ahead with whatever you're doing on screen. It's very rarely that it seems like there's a cheap shot and you die. So, fantastic game for me so far. Obviously, I've only played a few games and a couple of demos on the PlayStation 4, but that is the absolute highlight. I have also tried another thing that came free on PlayStation Plus was Don't Starve, another weird little indie game that kind of reminds me, the visuals remind me a bit of, what's it called? Lemony Snicket's Series of Unfortunate Events, kind of the covers of those books, the graphics look weirdly a bit like that. And it's a charming little title where you have to craft things and survive on this landscape. And I don't think I'm going to buy it for the PlayStation 4, but I may well get it for the Mac or PC next time there's a Steam sale, because I don't think it's something that I'll play extensively, but I would like to have play it a little bit further. So when it comes down to about £5, I might pick that one up. And last night they just added a game called Outlast, which is a survival horror, and I played the first 20 minutes of it last night with all the lights out with my headphones on, and I have not been that scared in a video game maybe ever. I can really see that when virtual reality, because it's like this is a first-person survival horror game, I can really see that virtual reality games are going to scare the hell out if they decide to do a survival horror like that. Oh, yeah, it really got my heart racing. It's a really, like what I've seen of it so far, a very good title, and it's about a journalist going into an old insane asylum trying to find out what's happened there, and it's a game where you can't fight, you have to hide and you have to run, and that is brilliant. Or at least I think it is. I wouldn't be able to give a verdict of saying it's a great game until I've played it all the way to the end, but what I've played of it so far definitely scared me, and horror movies rarely scare me, but having it that close and in your face with the sound effects are very atmospheric as well, and it really makes you feel like you're inside the character, because you can see the character's body, and when he moves close to things, he puts his hands up on walls and peeks around door frames. It's nice. It's well worth a look. So that's it for PlayStation 4 and my current experiences with the next generation. But there is just a couple of little things that I'd like to talk about going forward, obviously into next year. And one of my purchases I'm definitely going to make, as you all know, is going to be the Oculus Rift, and seeing the latest prototype model that they've been showing at CES just last month, the Crystal Cove they've called it, apparently naming it after somewhere that's near their headquarters. It is just, well, I haven't used it, but every report I've heard of it just makes it sound phenomenal. They've improved the screen, they've reduced the latency on the thing, and now they've added head tracking, so you can not just move left and right, up and down, but the actual motion of your head in the 3D environment is mapped into the game, so you can bend forward and look down at things and get closer to things that are in front of you, and it just looks phenomenal. It really does, and I can't wait to be immersed in these games. I mean, this year, actually, that's just remembered, Eurogamer.net, the website, were asking what you are most looking forward to in 2014, and asking you to leave a comment. And I wrote down that I was looking forward to Elite Dangerous, and I was quite shocked when I looked a couple of weeks later at their website and saw the article about the most awaited games, and I think that one came in at number 8, and there was my comment. It didn't have my name, but my comment was right there. And game Elite, I love. I mean, Elite on the BBC is so nostalgic for me. Just being a little kid playing that game, and then playing it again on the Amiga many years later, and then the sequels, which for me were a bit disappointing, and now Elite Dangerous. It looks like real Elite, but for the next generation. It looks amazing, and it's going to have full Oculus Rift support, so middle of the year. That game is going to be out. I think it comes out in March, actually, so I might get it before then. But then it's going to have Rift support as well, so if the Rift comes out in the middle of the year, I can't wait. It's going to be an amazing, amazing year for gaming. And it seems like everybody is going virtual reality. Valve, although they're not releasing a virtual reality headset, have actually developed one, and what their developments apparently influenced the changes they'd made in the Oculus Rift, and Valve and Oculus are working very closely together. But Valve think it will be a couple of years until they've got until virtual reality headsets are where they think they should be, and it's very exciting stuff. And another product that I saw just recently was something by a company called Avgard. They've got a product called the Glyph, and it looks like this. Yeah, I know, it seems a bit strange. It's a pair of headphones, but it's a pair of headphones with a visor, a display visor built into it, so you can watch movies and play games. And it's not virtual reality in the same sense that Oculus is. Oculus provides this immersive wraparound experience. This gives you the feeling that you're looking at a huge cinema screen in front of you, but it does have the capabilities to add head tracking into the games if that was decided that they wanted to include that. It has that function, so it's going to be kind of virtual reality, but more of a media viewer. But the thing about this that makes it very special is it doesn't have any screens inside it. So with the Oculus, you look through a pair of optics, and they are looking at a screen in front of you that then gets warped and stretched to make it look like it's filling up your whole field of view. But this has no screens. The image is directly projected onto your retina. And apparently, from what I've heard, from what I've read, people that tested it again at CES said it gives a phenomenal picture quality. Very, very clear. Doesn't have any of the screen door problems that Oculus has, where it looks like you're looking through a grid because you can actually see the pixels. This just projects it straight onto your retina, a clear, vibrant image. So that's something I would love to try. It is a little bit pricey. The Kickstarter's running at the moment $499, which I think equates to about £350, the current conversion rate, which is a lot of money. But when you think for a pair of, the Beats headphones, they're probably about £200, aren't they? And this thing is supposed to have very good like surround sound audio to it as well, not just the visual projector. Doesn't actually sound like that bad a deal. And then if you think things like there's equivalent things but not as good, like the Zeiss visual display unit, and Sony have got a media viewer as well, this big bulky thing that sits on your face. They're $700, $800. So $500 for this, just seems too good to be true in a way for such an advanced technology, but they're offering it. You can go on their Kickstarter page and order it, and it's going to be hitting shelves or hitting Kickstarter's doorsteps sometime around December 2014. So, there are interesting projects afoot in the virtual reality space. And also there are treadmills as well, 2 of them that I've seen, one coming out from a company called Virtuix. They've got something called the Omni, and another company called Cybereth have got their own treadmill called the Virtualizer. And apparently the Virtualizer doesn't even need any special shoes, which the Omni one does. Who knows which one's going to be the best, but we're looking at a situation by the end of 2014 that you will be able to play immersive 3D virtual reality games with a visor on your face, Wii-type controllers in your hands, and walking on a treadmill. It's getting very, very holodeck, isn't it? It's going to be quite special. So 2014, I'm gonna put my prediction in now that it's going to be one of the best years for video gaming ever. It's going to be one of the biggest leaps forward in gaming experience. So I'm ready to put my money down on these things as soon as they come out. I probably won't buy the treadmill because I don't think I'll have space. If I had a spare room that I could convert into a virtual reality room, then maybe. But at least by the end of this year, I hope to have a virtual reality headset, an Oculus, or maybe something else will come along, and some decent controllers like Razer Hydra or actually 6 Sense, the people who make the motion controllers inside the DualShock they had their own Kickstarter a little while ago, and they're coming out with something in the middle of this year that is 2 motion controllers for virtual reality gaming. So I don't look it, but I am incredibly excited. Yeah. So, one other thing that I noticed that might be a big change, a bit of a shake-up this year, is these Steam machines. I don't know if any of you are at all enthusiastic about it. I've seen a lot of, I wouldn't say negative comments about it, but a lot of apathy. A lot of people saying, what space does it fill? Why do we need it? Why do we need something that's like a cross between a PC and a console? And I say, why do we not need something that's like a PC and a console? Like a console, but is upgradable, an operating system that you can take from box to box to box and bring all of your games with it, is a great thing, because it's very frustrating when, with the current generation of systems, they are not backwards compatible. Not yet. So when I've got my PlayStation 3 and my PlayStation 4 sitting next to each other, and having the quite poor television that I've got with only 2 HDMI sockets on it and 1 set of components, I've got my Xbox plugged into the components, I've got my Apple TV into one of the HDMIs, then I've only got 1 HDMI free for either my PlayStation 3 or my PlayStation 4, so I've got to keep, it's not a big deal, but unplugging them. I would have liked to have had one box that I can play all of my PlayStation collection on, to truly be a PlayStation, not just a completely new piece of hardware. I want it to be backwards compatible. I know that doesn't matter to enough people, because if it did, Sony would have found a way to include it. If there were hundreds of thousands of gamers out there saying, no, I'm not buying that because it's not going to play, I play my back catalogue. I've been supporting you, Sony, for 15 years, buying your game, your systems, your games. Would be nice for you to just give us a nod and say thank you, and include a feature that means we can go back and enjoy those titles rather than selling them to us again through virtual console type things. And yeah, that sucks. But there is a ray of hope, because I did see an article on Eurogamer saying that Sony are going to be including PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2 emulation compatibility on the PlayStation 4, and word is it's going to be a lot better than was on the PlayStation 3, in that it's going to take the core code of the game and then display it in a higher resolution. So you'll be able to, much like you do if you play one of the games on an emulator on the PC, you'll be able to see, although the textures won't be higher resolution, it'll draw them at a higher resolution and display them on the screen. So yeah, that is pretty exciting. Only I just took all of my PlayStation 2 collection back to the UK in January with my PlayStation 2, thinking, oh, I'm not going to be able to play these on the PS4, can't play them on my PS3. And being a cat owner, it's very important for me to be able to play games without a cord connected to my machine, because it has happened before playing my old consoles, and I'll be sitting there in the dark playing them. The cat will walk up quietly because he doesn't have a collar with a bell on it, and he'll chew those cables. And he hasn't actually chewed all the way through one while I'm playing on it, but he certainly has when I've left one out on the side. So yeah, for me, I'd love to be able to play all of my games on one system, but that isn't going to happen. So I am grateful to hear that PS1 and PS2 backwards compatibility is going to be included in a future firmware update, because I like to play PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2 games from time to time, and I don't want to really have to get my PlayStation 2 out or my PlayStation 1 and plug them in to do it. So yeah, thank you, Sony. That's going to be a welcome inclusion. But yeah, that was a bit of a random waffle on from Steam machines is what I was actually talking about. And I think that system, with its ability to be backwards compatible, well, going forward, it will take its collection with it, and you'll be able to upgrade your boxes as you go along, and you'll still be able to play your games 20 years from now, if the system still exists. The ones that you bought this year will still work on a future box. So it's pretty exciting stuff. And I've got a PC sitting, waiting at home that I bought, a few years back as a, a home theatre PC is what the intention was, building it as that. It didn't work very well, but I will strip out some of the guts of that, put in some new components, and for a couple of £100 I'll have myself a moderately powered Steam machine device to play. If not the latest and greatest games, I'll be able to play quite a few titles on it, so I'm looking forward to that this year. So I think it's going to be an exciting 2014. But as usual, I'd love to know what you have to say. So please, by all means, leave comments. If you want to make a video response, that would be very cool as well. But this time, I promise, I'm going to read those comments and I will respond to every single one of them. So thank you very much for watching this far. I know it's been a ridiculously long video, and I won't make another one this long anytime in the near future. I'll keep them much shorter, but I just had a lot to say and it was nice to be able to waffle on. So thank you for sitting here this long. From my spare room to wherever you are, this is Simon signing off. Bye bye.